They simplify the complex world to make it easier to understand, okay? And an economic model is a highly simplified representation of a more complicated reality. And it including graphs, diagrams, and equations. Production possibilities frontier, I'm going to move into that. And this is sometimes referenced as a curve and other things, some book, depending on the book that you use. But it's known as the production possibilities frontier, the PPF. And we learn from the PPF. So we have, one is efficiency, scarcity, and I'm going to go through each one of these one by one. Opportunity cost, the law of increasing opportunity cost, and economic growth. So this is what we're going to learn from the production possibilities frontier model. Okay? So before I go into the model, I'm going to go over the assumptions that we make for this. So the assumptions of this model are that we have full employment and productive efficiency. The second assumption is that we have fixed resources. What are our resources again? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. So these are fixed. The next one is fixed technology. And the last one is that this is an economy that only produces two goods. Now, is this a realistic model? This is the US economy. And let's say we can only produce pizza and robots. Okay, is it realistic? Does it have to be realistic? No, because the simpler it is, the easier it is for us to understand, right? It makes it easier for us to understand. Remember, the assumptions simplify the complex reality for us to understand it. So we're going to be looking at two goods. So now I'm going to give us the combination, the production possibilities production table, the production possibility table. One second. So we have pizzas and robots. Okay. My graph is not the greatest here. Okay, so we're going to plot these down. So 0, 10, so there's 1 point here. Then you have 1 and 9. You have 2 and 7. 3 and 4. And 4 and 0. Okay? So this is the production possibilities frontier, this line here. Now this line represents, so we're going to go back to this term here, efficiency. So these combinations are the efficient combinations that we can produce in our economy. So this combination, this, and this are the efficient combinations of producing pizza and robots in our US economy. Why are these the numbers? Because this is a theoretical example of what one economy, so if we were to compare two goods, given the resources that we have and the technology that we have in this economy, these are the only combinations that we can produce of pizza and robots.
So it's
we're going to produce both. So if all our resources and all our technology were into producing robots, then we would produce no pizzas, but we would produce 10 million robots. So if all of our resources and
so it's presuming that the same resources go into pizza and robots, essentially.
Right. So that's right. Given that these are fixed, right, that they can't increase or decrease. Yes. Well, all of these are productive efficiency, and they're all efficient. So any point on this line is we're using all of our resources. Efficiency describes the efficient combination of outputs given the economy's resource and technology. Okay? So the next one is scarcity, right? This shows that scarcity, right? So it says given the fixed resources that we have in the technology, we can only produce so much, which are these points on this line. So that would be the scarcity part, where you can see it in this model. So given the stock of resources and technology, the economy can only produce so much. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk, is everyone okay with that so far? Yeah? So opportunity cost. So next I'm going to go over the opportunity cost. So this slope, so the opportunity cost of the production possibilities is downward. And so if we move from point A to B, and we look here, if we move from point A to point B, what are we doing?
Fireworks.
Okay, so it says the opportunity cost, the PPF, slopes downward, indicating that as the economy produces more of one good, it must produce less of the other.
It's costing us the robot, the one robot.
Yes, that's right. So the opportunity cost is one robot. That's correct, right? So the opportunity cost is the cost of an item that we must give up to obtain another item, right? So when we go from point A to point B to make one pizza, we're giving up one robot, of producing one robot. So given the stock of resources and technology, the economy can produce only so much. So this line represents the only possible combination with using as much resources and technology as we can to produce in the economy. Therefore, this point here, we can't produce that because we can only produce this. This is the only possibility. Yes.
So we're just going back to opportunity cost real quick. If we were to do what you just did for the points there, if we were to go from like B to C, we would lose.
We would lose how many? 2. If we went from 2 to 3, we lose how many? 3. If we go from D to E, 4, right? So that's increasing. So that's when we get into the law of increasing opportunity cost. Because we're giving up more. We're giving up, as we move to point A all the way to E, we're shifting all of our resources into making pizza. So we're shifting our resources from robots into pizza. Production of pizza. Okay. Which is the more of a product is produced, the greater the opportunity cost. The more of a product is produced, the greater the opportunity cost. So as we produce more pizzas, what happens?
You lose
Less
robots.
robots.
Right, and so what happens though? When we lose robots, what is that?
Opportunity cost.
That's right, and what's happening here?
It's increasing.
It's increasing. So the more you produce one good, the more of a product is produced, the greater the opportunity cost. And 5 is economic growth. So this is increase in the economy's ability to produce goods and services. And this shifts the curve. So anytime this curve shifts, it's because there is an increase in resources or technology. And any movements along this curve we're moving resources from one good into producing another good.